Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Christina here, and I wanted to share the next step here in the branding process. So the first part we were talking about, building out the true passions, doing the inside out approach, coming from what you're truly passionate about to rolling it out into some kind of drive and motive for your brand. So we talked about the purpose, the vision, and the mission, as well as the values. And those are going to be the key elements here to really define what you want in your brand and what type of culture are you trying to create within the brand to create community. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about positioning. How are you going to position yourself in the market, and what person in particular, what ideal person do you want to market to and work with? So we're going to get really clear on that in the next couple of minutes. So please stick around. Let's go. All right, guys, so what we want to do now is we want to look at, our positioning now, which we're going to be building our positioning statement later on in this video. So what we want to do now is let's do some research in terms of, where in the market do we want to work on, right? Where do we want to focus? So for me, I wanted to focus in the mental health industry. So where do you guys want to focus? Do you want to focus in a certain psychographic problem? Those are very specific niches, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about niching, right? Because this is what positioning is all about. We're looking for, a specific target, and we're looking at the market in a very small, narrow funnel, because we don't want to come out and try and do all the things because we can't, that we don't have time for that. We want to harness in on a niche that we can really deliver and provide this person, whatever they need 100%. So let's take time to look back at ourselves. Okay, so, what types of people do I enjoy being around? And those are some things to keep in mind as well. And some of the experiences that you've, came to see, because positioning follows into 3 categories. So you want to look at your unique selling points. So do you have any really interesting experiences or stories that you can share to somebody else, that has possibly the same issue? So maybe, for example, if you have issues with anxiety or panic attacks, is there a story that you can bring to the table that might help somebody else and relate to you so that they can come to you for any issues? So you want to think about stories like that. You also want to think about the sweet spot in the market. So if you're working, you're an art therapist or a counselor and you're working in the mental health industry, it's a huge market, right? There's so many niches. So you need to kind of find that gap within the market. What's missing right now in the market of maybe anxiety or the market of depression? Other really interesting psychographic problems. Dive into those. See if there's a gap that maybe some of your other competitors are not doing right now, that maybe you can harness and take with you. And that's part of the positioning. So you have your unique selling point, your sweet spot, and possibly some really good skill sets that you can bring to the table. Maybe something in your personality or any other things of that nature. Because you, as an individual, can be different from your other competitors just alone with your personality or your stories. And then that gap in the market, that's just you taking time to do research, because you might have an idea that maybe not other mental health professionals looked into. So you want to do that research. And then what you probably would like to do now is to kind of have an idea of your target audience, your target customer, however you want to call them. You want to build a customer profile. So what we want to do is we want to look at a customer profile where it has questions. So we're talking about covering their story, maybe some of their issues that's coming up, some challenges that they're facing, and maybe what their needs are right now, and maybe some of their interests too, because everybody's different, but you want to target a certain category of people, right? There's one particular person that you enjoy working with. Maybe they're the introverts. Maybe you like working with a little bit more of the creative introverts. So people that love art or, like to express themselves using their hands instead of talking. So those are different ways that you can niche down and really get specific on this person. Through the actual customer profile, we really want to understand their pain points, their struggles, life problems, where they are in their life right now, if they're a young teenager or if they're more of an adult. Those all matter because the way that you're going to market to them is going to be different. You also want to learn about their desires too, because you want to really help achieve those desires for them, because that's going to help them stick with you. And the more detail in these profiles, the better, because then you're going to really get a good idea of who this person is. And with the pain points that you describe in this person's profile, you want to also think about solutions that you can provide them given your expertise and your services, because that's how you're going to align it, right? We are trying to help them cure those pain points or somehow solve those pain points. And normally, just to keep things a little bit easier, you probably would want to keep your customer profile to be more of a form of you. So whether it's you in the past, maybe you in the future, or an alternate form of you. If you're having trouble with that, you can also look to maybe your friends and family. Is there a friend that you get along well with that maybe can be your ideal client? Once you defined this customer profile, you want to keep this in your documents all the time. You want to keep referring to this continually, especially when we start looking at visuals later on, because the visuals are going to help connect back to the ideal client, right? We want to make sure that the ideal client is in mind when we start looking at visuals. And any kind of interest that they have, we probably want to integrate that into the brand itself for, creating that culture. So with this profile in place now, you want to go out and interview 3 of your ideal clients so that you can get a really good idea of maybe what their pain points, needs are, maybe some topics that they want to talk about, because the topics are going to be the big thing, because you do have to create content around this topic. So if you can talk to 3 possible ideal clients that you think will resonate, ask them the questions. What is stressing you out right now about, something that you can offer them? And then take those answers and bring them back to the drawing board with you and see how you can take that and utilize it into some kind of an offer later on, and start creating content, because that's going to help, build the brand awareness and build that know you, like you, trust you factor. So now that we have an idea about the positioning statement and following through into designing and crafting the ideal customer, now what we want to do is we want to go back to the positioning statement, seeing that we've done our research, we've done our actual character profile of what we want. Now what we want to do is we want to put the positioning statement into a short form sentence that we can easily copy and paste and put it into our bios, because that's really, in the end, what people are going to see. They're not going to see our mission statement, vision. This is the positioning statement that we want people to see and what we want to repeat on a daily basis. So the positioning formula would be, so and so provides blank blank so that blank blank they can blank blank. So this formula, you don't have to follow this one entirely, but the formula should contain, the whatever you do, I help, or the name of the company, however you want to call yourself, but provides, whatever you provide. So for me, it would be, brand, creating authentic brands or branding, so that, and then we want to throw in, that desire, right? So I'm finding in terms of in the market or in the mental health industry that people are having trouble finding the right clients. So here is the desire. And the desire here is, or the pain point as well. The pain point here is, to create an authentic brand that attracts the right clients. So now what we want to do is close it off by saying, the desire. So they want to continue to empower healing and positivity in people. So that's what I closed it off with. We close it off with a desire. We focus on a pain point. We close it off with a desire because that's what people are looking for. So just recap again. We are starting off with whoever we are, I help, or so-and-so helps, the niched audience. So mine is mental health professionals. Yours could be anxiety individuals or individuals that have self-confidence issues or self-esteem issues, providing so-and-so, so the service, product, however you want to name it. And then so that, they can attract, the right clients, or however you want to do it, so that they can, feel this certain way. And that's basically how you want to close it off, because the statement is going to be very brief, but still communicate, what you do, who you are, and who you serve. And that's basically what we want to have. And it has to be super direct. You don't want to be passive within the actual line itself, because it might fall flat. All right, so we're just going to recap now. That's basically everything in terms of positioning. And, I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any questions for me, you can always put them down in the comments below, because I know that this is a lot to cover. And I'm trying to simplify things as much as I can so that you guys understand what's involved. So let's recap again. So what we are doing now is we're talking about positioning. So positioning is, now we're trying to find the target, right? We have our passions down. We know what we stand for now. Now what we want to do is we want to find that funnel. Where are we trying to point our target? So what we want to do now is do some research. So let's see what the market is like right now for the mental health industry. Is there a sweet spot that I can target? And in terms of the passions that we've clarified for ourselves, maybe we are passionate about, relieving sleep deprivation on a mental level, or trying to find mindfulness within our busy days. So those are special niches. So you can probably look into those types of niches within the market to find that sweet spot. And on top of that, because we are coming in from an inside out approach, we have to look within ourselves now. What kind of stories can we bring to the table that can inspire, this individual who has, mindfulness issues or is having a hard time practicing mindfulness. So that's something to look into as well. And Now what we want to do is we want to look at our skill sets and focus on maybe some of the strengths that we have as a mental health professional, art therapist, counselor, you name it. You want to make sure that you can harness those skills and play it into the brand, as well as the sweet spot. Fill in those gaps in the in the market, because that sweet spot might help you in the long run. And really don't worry too much about the competitors, because you as an individual are different. Whether it's stories that you have, or the personality that you share, or that special gap that you found in the market that maybe not anyone else is doing. Harness that. So now that we have some kind of an idea of where we could sit in the market, let's look at, the ideal customer that we want to attract. We have to build that profile, focus on the pain points and desires, and the solutions that we're going to bring. When you have that ideal crafted, now you want to go and talk to 3 ideal clients, interview them, ask them questions. What is something that they need right now? What topics, are they interested in learning and that you are best at? And that's pretty much there. Now what you do is you plug all that into a positioning statement. And when you close that off with a positioning statement, you're done. You have your positioning statement down. You know where you stand. You know who you're serving and who you're not serving. And that helps to filter you out in the market. And that's basically niching. Now you have a focus. So now we're going to move on to the next step in the process, which is now working on the personality of your brand, which is the voice and the look for your brand. And this isn't tapping into visuals yet. We're talking about attributes. So please stick around for next week's video all about the attributes and how to build those. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned a lot today, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.